Hi guys and welcome back. Now that we know the basics of Ruby on Rails, let's explore Ruby in a little more detail. And that's what we're going to do in this and the next few lessons. We'll be exploring the parts of Ruby that are relevant to Rails and to our learning journey. And don't worry, for this lesson and those to come, you don't need any more detailed programming experience than what you've already learned so far. If however you would like to go back and re-watch some of the videos to get a little bit more comfortable with Ruby on Rails, please feel free to do so now. In previous lessons, we've seen how far we can go with little to no knowledge of Ruby, the underlying language of Rails. And as you can see here on the left hand side in my code editor, we've come a very long way. We started off by creating a simple Hello World app. We then created a rapid app using Rails scaffolding. We've then started our Orbit app, which is the main application that we're going to use throughout the rest of this class. But for our Ruby learning journey now, let's create a new branch. So let me pop open my terminal. Here we go. Let me navigate into my Rails projects. Here we are now back in our Orbit application. Now the first thing we're going to do is create a new branch. And as we know, we do that with the following command. Git checkout -b. And what are we doing here? Well, we're learning Ruby, so let's just call this Ruby-basics. Later on, we're going to merge this branch to master. But for now, let's hit enter on this. Great, switch to a new branch, Ruby Basics. And as we know, everything that we do now will be on this branch, Ruby Basics, which means that our previous work and our previous Orbit application is safe and sound. Now let's reopen a file that we've used in a previous lesson. That file is app.views.layout.application.html.orb. So back in my code editor, here we are. In my Orbit app, as I said, in the app folder, views, layouts, application.html.orb. The piece of code that we want is located here at line 8. This line of code uses a built-in Rails function, which is stylesheet_link_tag, which tells our app to include application.css for all media types. So for those of you who may be unfamiliar with CSS, it's essentially the layout and the formatting of our web pages. So this stylesheet_link_tag tells our app to include application.css for all media types, and media types being computer screens and printers and so on. This line of code has 4 core Ruby ideas. First, built-in Rails methods, method invocation with missing parentheses, symbols and hashes. We're going to look at each one of those in turn. So not only does Rails come with a number of built-in functions for use in views, we can also create new ones. These custom built-in functions are called helpers. So look at this line here at line number 4, and as we know, left angle bracket % = yield, so we've used this line of code before, we're familiar with this line of code. But this code works by relying on the definition of a page title using the provide keyword. So as we know, in our individual page views, the about, the home, the help, we have a provide keyword. Now what happens if we don't provide a title? Well, we could create a base title to use on every page. To be more specific, we could call this an optional page title. And we almost have something like this. If we delete provide, what does our title look like? So let's have a look at that now. So before I delete that, let me just fire up my Rails server. So Rails server, great, up and running. Let me go into my web browser. So here we are here on the home page of our application, and as we saw in the previous lesson, we have a nice cleanly formatted page title here, home pipe orbit feedback application. And as I just said, what happens if we delete the provide keyword? What does our title look like? Well, let's go into one of our views. So let's go into our home page view. So HTML_pages, home, and let's delete this. There it is, deleted and saved. Back to our web browser. Let me refresh this page. So as you can see, the home title is gone and our title here starts with the pipe. We can create a custom helper called full_title. This helper will return a base title if no page title is defined. So as we see in this example, if no page title happens to be defined, our custom helper called file title will kick in. It will also add a pipe preceded by the page title if one is defined. So how do we go about that? Back in our code editor, if we go into app and then the helpers folder, we can see here application-helper.orb. Click that open. Not much in it for the moment. Let's add in our code. So we start by defining a custom helper. So def, what did we say we're going to call this? Full_title. Brackets, page_title equals, let's leave this empty for the moment. Now base title, so base_title equals, and what is our base title going to be? Well, it's going to be like this: Orbit feedback application. There we go. Make sure you close that off with your quotation marks. Next we're going to say if page title, so page underscore title is empty, use the base title. Else page title, again plus, so this is concatenation plus base title. There we go. Let me hit end on that. End again. Perfect. Let me save that. So with this helper, we can simplify our layout by replacing our current title tags. Now we'll do that in a moment, but just let's have another flick through what we've written. So we've defined a new helper called full underscore title, and our page title for the moment is blank. So we've given it some default parameters. We've then defined a base title variable, so base underscore title equals orbit feedback application. Then here, we've started an if statement, so if page underscore title is empty, use the base title. If it's not empty, so else, page title plus pipe plus base title. So that's not too bad. I think that makes sense just as it is there. So now with this helper, we can simplify our layout file by replacing the current title tags. So let's go in there now. So here we are in our layout file, and let's remove this line of code here, and let's replace it with the following. So percentage equals full underscore title. There it is there, autocomplete, nice. Bracket yield, bracket colon, title, close brackets, and then close our Ruby line of code. Save that. With this line of code in place, we can now start to remove the word home from the home page. So previously, just for example purposes, I removed the provide line of code here, so I'm just going to replace that. So leave that in there for the moment, so let me save that, and we're going to come back to this file in a moment and tidy this up, but back into our application helper here. So as I just said, we'll begin by removing the word home from the home page. This will then force the home page to use the base title. So to do this, we first update our test code. So let's open up our test file. And as you might remember, that sits over here in the left hand side in the test folder, in the controllers folder, and then we have html underscore pages underscore controller underscore test.orb. So now in our test file, what we want to do is remove the spacing, the pipe, and the word home from there. That's it. Let's save that. So now what we've just done is updated our previous title test by adding one to test for the absence of the custom home string in the title. So let's run our test suite now. So back into the terminal. There we go. Let me open up a new terminal window. There we go. Still in our Orbit application folder. Let me run Rails test and see what we get. Hopefully one should be red. Perfect. And our mini test helper reporters are kicking in there for some nice little feedback here. So we have 3 tests, 6 assertions, 1 failure. Now to get this test to pass, let's jump back into our code editor, into home page, and let's remove this provide keyword line here. Save that, back into my terminal, run the file again. There we go, perfect. Now here, let me refresh, Orbit feedback application. So guys, what have we done in this short lesson? Well, let's jump back into our code editor, and here we are in our application helper file. So first we defined a new helper called full underscore title. We created a base title, Orbit feedback application. So if the page title was empty, so we emptied the page title in the home page just a moment ago, use the base title. However, if there is a page title, concatenate that or join that page title with a pipe and the base title. So if we go back in here now, we could add in a provide line here again. Our test would fail, but they only fail because we removed home and the pipe from this line of code. We just did that for demonstration purposes, but you could add that back in here now if you wanted. But what our application helper really does is that for any new pages that we create, we will automatically be assigning a base title if we forget to create a page title. So a nice little bit of housekeeping while at the same time demonstrating some key fundamental Ruby concepts. So that's it for this lesson. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next, where we're going to learn how to use the Ruby console. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next lesson.